there.
Hi! How are you doing? Welcome. Thank you for joining me here.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so glad. How is the weather where you are right now?
It's hot? It's hot. It's a little humid here, but it's sunny today. It's been a little rainy this week. But how's it there with you?
So last week before that, the end of August, we were having 30-degree heat wave. And we had rain all summer, and then all of a sudden the last week we're having this heat wave, right? Within a day, it switched to really cool. I started getting my sweaters on, my fall jacket, and I had boots on, and people are looking at me like, what's going on with her? But to adapt, it just took a toll on me. And then now it's really hot again, so it's coming and going. But it should be getting cooler soon. And
yeah, it's the same thing here. We'll start to get a little cooler, then it'll get really hot again, and it'll teeter-totter like that till like November. So, yeah, it's a bit of a wait for the actual.
Well, I like the medium, spring and autumn, only because I feel that I can go out and actually be like a little child, run around, and because I love connecting to the earth. You know, I don't care anymore. Years ago, I used to be embarrassed. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I like to hug trees. I like to communicate with animals. But now it's just, it doesn't bother me. I just say whatever. And whoever knows what I'm talking about is already there. And, and it's a good feeling to be able to be comfortable being myself, I talk to myself a lot, and I always say to myself, always be yourself. Because in this world, we're always, we have to wear different, masks or roles in different scenarios. And it's like, sometimes I bite my tongue and I don't say something when it should be. Yeah. Not even to defend myself, but, just sometimes I should be saying things and I don't. And then it kind of, that's not really good too, so. But anyways, enough about that. Let's talk about you.
Thank you for sharing that. I really related to that. I talk to myself all the time too, so don't worry. I give myself pep talks in the mirror from time to time.
Yeah?
So I totally related to
No, I think, I feel that that's a good relationship to have. With yourself. Yourself is like the most important thing ever.
You have to understand yourself before you can even begin to understand other people.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's, I think I was having a conversation with a beloved friend of mine, and, she immigrated here from the Middle East, and she got married really young, and she has 2 children, and, she always tells me to respect her. I won't give out a name or anything, but she knows that I'll bring her up, because she always says, I don't mind you bringing me up and all this stuff, but she always says she feels robbed of her youth, because, she had to get married and have the kids, and I embrace what I'm doing, and a lot of times, women, that, when they are married at a young age, or, they have children, which is a beautiful thing, I would never say, I understand that sometimes they feel within themselves that, oh my gosh, I wish I was doing what she's doing, I wish I can do it, but they find that they don't have the time or whatever. And so she was saying, oh, my husband, nobody understands him. He's so secretive. And she's like, I've lived with him for 15 years. I don't understand him. My mom doesn't understand him. Nobody understands him. And I just looked at her, and I really, really felt what she was saying. Not even, on her level and on his level, because I know him very well, too. But I also identified what she said with myself, because I felt that she was speaking to me. because everybody always says to me, I thought I knew you, but I find that I actually don't know you. You know, because I feel that I'm complex, but I'm complex to those who aren't very attuned to themselves. You know, and with the hustle and bustle of life, with that everybody, like her husband, he's go action, like he works, and so she deals with home stuff, and so there's that, you know, that balance that they're trying to do. But I just said to her, I'm like, to make this short, I don't want to, you know, I said to her, I'm like, it took me, because I'm 28 years old now, and I said, it took me 25 years to find who I am, and I'm still learning every day. I said, how can, I shifted it at myself, you know, and I said, how is it possible for us to know somebody else when we don't really know who we are, you know? And she just thought for a second, and she's like, oh my God, I'm meditating on that. And I was like, that's so cute, you know? And like I said, sometimes I don't want to say something because I don't want to hurt another's feeling. I don't want to get in the middle of it. I don't want to, you know. But then again, this girl, she comes to me for advice. So I feel that I could be saying this because maybe you've been in a similar situation, or maybe people do come to you in a sense like that. But if that is true, I'm just feeling that I should like speak my truth, and that is, if people are willingly coming to you to seek out your advice or your opinion or your spiritual guidance, then, you know, by all means, it's your right to tell them, you know, and it's their right to and responsibility to take action or approve of it or not, because they may like it, what you have to say, or they may not like what you have to say, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah, it can be really difficult. Like, for me especially, I get afraid I'm going to offend somebody.
Yeah.
I'm clairaudient, so sometimes I'll hear, and my guides are very frank. They don't beat around the bush, and I feel like it's my job to sort of soften what they're saying a little bit, because I feel like I'm going to hurt someone's feelings if I don't. And then sometimes there's a fine line between how much should I soften it that it sort of derails the message, and that can get really, really difficult at times. But there's a time to be like really hard and like really straightforward, and then there's a time to be more softer and sweeter about a message. And it's about meeting that person's needs who's come to you for advice. I think it's about balancing that.
And I know for people that are clairaudient, when you're getting that frequency, like that sound, it sometimes it's like a push, like you have to say something.
Yes.
Yeah.
It comes out really.
It just comes out.
Yeah, I kind of, it used to be a lot worse where I would just say things without thinking about it, be like, oh my God, what just happened? I didn't even mean to say that out loud. At times it'll be, I think I'm thinking it, but in fact I'm speaking it. That's happened before. I've gotten better about sort of like keeping it shut until I understand what I'm saying. But the way it comes through, it's not always that forceful. It's hard for me to describe to people the way I hear personally, how I experience it, but it sounds like me speaking, like in my head. But I'm just able to differentiate between what I am thinking consciously and what I'm being given or what I'm hearing. It feels like there's two parts of my brain. One is channeling, one is me. But it all comes together in some weird conglomeration. I feel like when I explain that, I feel like I'm not clear to people, but it's the best I can do. It's a little hard to explain.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Because as like for me, growing up, when I was little, I found that, I come from a family of mediums, shamans, psychics, healers, freedom fighters, and so it goes on. But I found in my family, it's the high, I don't know how to explain this myself, but it's like it skipped a generation. In terms of, like, for example, my sister, my mom, they have, you know, abilities. Like my sister share her dreams, and it immediately they come to life, you know. And she'll call me, she'll be like, "Oh my gosh," you know, and or she'll get a vision of something, and she's really good at reading coffee cups.
Oh yeah.
Like she'll flip them over, for example, like I don't know, Armenian coffee, Turkish coffee, Arabic coffee. You know, it's a thicker blend of beans. Yeah, and so she's really good at that. But in terms of being clairaudient and I don't know, it's like a higher level that I've had to experience. That I remember when I was little, you know, it would get so strong that I had so much difficulty in school because I'm sitting there in the classroom and I couldn't grasp what the teacher's telling me. All I can feel is what the teacher's feeling.
Yes. Oh my god, I relate to this so much.
Yeah.
There was a time, like, when I first started high school, my grades were terrible because I couldn't focus for that exact reason. It gets a really rough. It's like a learning curve almost.
It is, and so they don't see what, you know, they come up with different things. Like for people that have, for example, they have, what is it? There's like different classrooms. Here they have like ESL or ADD. They'll label you, you know. I mean, for myself, I mean, there were other kids too that, you know, they were perfectly fine. They didn't have any difficulty learning or whatever, but I found every child and every teenager learns on a different level. Like some are more hand-oriented, or, you know, some are more mentally stimulated, like they're able to sit down for 8 hours, or some of them, they need the action. So I'm sure you know what I mean, like it was hard to sit in a classroom with all these students, and some of them are just like up in the air, and we're all like, you know what I mean.
No, yeah, classrooms they don't really cater to people's different needs in that way. And it's especially difficult with people with extrasensory abilities.
I know.
One more thing to deal with on top of everything else.
But I find that a lot of, I don't know if it's literally in like public schools right now, but there are certain schools that they're adapting to meditations. They're bringing meditations in slowly.
Wow.
And I know a lot of, like, some of the school systems, like, they're bringing this in because there's a really huge generation of children that are, like, defined with autism right now. And so, or they're saying, like, you know, there's bipolar syndrome or this and that, which I find is, you know, I'm not saying at all that, you know, people that are clairvoyant or clairaudient, that's what they have. And it's not 100% true. Because I remember growing up for myself, I would question, I wasn't able to relate to any other child. When I would speak up about it, they would label me as you have some sort of mental illness. You know what I mean? And so when I was old enough to go, I silently, secretly went to the doctor to see if I'm okay. Like, I got checked up. I'm thinking, okay, I have some sort of mental problem if I'm, you know, picking up on their, you know, feelings and stuff, and they're like, no, you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you, you know. And I was like, I knew that he's lying, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of that. And like, I've bumped into a lot of younger generation, like 13-14-year-olds who are saying, like, they feel amazing. Like, they'll do a YouTube search and they'll find like a meditation or something, and they find that it helps, even if it's 10 minutes, like, it helps them, right? Like, to be able to do work for school or, you know, anything at all. And it's, people don't have, whether they labeled something or not labeled, I find that spirituality helps everyone, and just, we all need it.
It's very centering, and it's really important because, you know, earlier we were talking about understanding oneself and understanding other people. It's important to have that time of reflection in order to understand oneself and ground oneself so they can better interact with the world around them, and meditation offers a great platform for that. And so I never heard of that before, but I think that's great that they're including that into school.
Yeah, it's not something that's like, accepted in all schools. I think there are people that work in the districts that are trying to get them in. Like, they're working very hard. And so it's because, like, the kids, when I was in elementary, grade 7, grade 8, and then going to high school, I found that, like, the school system, a lot of times I had difficulties. Like, I'd get yelled at by teachers, and because a few times, like, I got up and I'm like, what you guys are teaching is false. It's all lies. And they're like, well, who do you think you are? I got a university degree. What do you know? And I remember one time saying, well, your university degree, what you're learning in university is a lie too. And like a lot of stuff in history has been rewritten. A lot of things in religion has been rewritten. And so all the mathematical codes that we learned in school, when do we ever use them? Right? So they didn't like what I had to say, but it was so hard for me to grasp what they were teaching. And I remember, like, I was always, like, sent to the office, or like they'd call me in the PA, or they'd want to sit down and understand what I'm going through. And my dad was really into reading older antique, like, I don't know how to explain, like, these old textbooks. He immigrated from Turkey to Canada in the 70s, and so he had, like, his degrees over there was basically nothing when he came here. So he brought most of his stuff with him, and I remember I was reading those books. So, and then I went to, up until grade 6, I went to a private school, a cultural private school. We were learning French, English, Armenian, and then I went to, just a regular Catholic school. And so it was so big in difference, because it was more of higher education. And even the things that I was self-taught and I was teaching myself it's a completely different world, right? And yeah, so it wasn't until, I was 14, 15 years old where, I would show them documents, I would show them proof of everything that I'd learned and how I can adapt to this. And they're like, oh my God, And yeah, through all that headache, they basically bumped me up, and at the age 15 years old, like, I was legally allowed out of high school, and I went out into the workforce, and I was taking care of disabled people and getting points and credits for that, and making money, and yeah, it was, I think from then I always knew I wanted to work something with spirituality, because religion wasn't for me, but I would study religion because I felt it was the closest thing where I can, I felt as though when reading religion, it was more of, I've experienced this before, but it was more of bringing that into the present. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, like applying religion to your everyday life. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but it wasn't really about the religion per se. I was connected to the spirit. I don't know, like finding my spirit within the textbook, maybe. The connection of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying.
Because, there's contradictions in different Bibles and different religions. With everything, there's contradictions, I think. But I would try to do that, and I felt as though, slowly but surely, like, I needed that for myself to bring it into a career that I'm doing, which helped me, take care of those people and all that stuff. And so, I always said to myself when I was little that because I was attracted to gemstones. I was attracted to crystals. But you know, at that time, there was obviously there were tarot cards, but there wasn't, were there any oracle cards like a long time ago? I don't think there were they?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think, I could be wrong, please, like if anybody knows, you know, but yeah, I knew there was that, but I felt as though like I incarnated here on earth to grow into this, more of the spirit in a physical body rather than vice versa, and take those experiences and build something with it. And then find, you know, or connect with like-hearted, I don't want to say I can't say like-minded, like-hearted, like-minded, you know, like similar people who are also in that path. And it, of course, there's obstacles and challenges on the way and during the journey, because when something isn't quite established, I mean, the tarot decks and all that stuff are established, but when you have your vision into it and you want to connect with people who have similar intentions and all that stuff, there's like obstacles because we're like creating something new. You know, it's like building something new that's never been done before. So obviously, you know, we're learning about not even just ourselves, but building ourselves in this physical existence. So, right, like going back to like, it took me 25 years to find out who I am, you know. Even though in 2002, even though all my life I've been so spiritual and clairvoyant and all this stuff, nobody was able to give me a precise answer to why I'm here. Nobody was able to tell me. I remember I was 21. I met a psychic. She did, she took my birth date, my name, my last name, and my birth date, the month, the number of the year. And what she told me was, you're very creative, and you're meant to do something creative. That's your life purpose. And I was thinking, I mean, that was like, it's like I knew, but it wasn't enough. Because anything can be creative, right? Like, you know what I mean? And so she just said, you know, you have these creative abilities, but you're born into the wrong family. They don't understand you. They don't, you know, a lot of families, they embrace creativity, but your family is so structured in a set, whether it's a modality structure, business oriented, because I come from a family of business people as well. But like I said, when there's an already built structure, me coming in as the third child, because I'm the youngest child, my sister is about 9 years older than me, my brother's 5 years older than me, I appear as like this rebel against them because they have this establishment, and here I am trying to find myself, connecting to spirit, rather than, you know, continuing what it is that they want me to do. So it's like, okay, I see myself, but seeing how they feel, and then being able to maybe bring it together, because we do inherit, you know, our family's gifts, their structure as well, or their, I don't know, you know, the tower card. We inherit how they deal with their buildings being shattered down. We inherit that too, being able to adapt and not adapt to certain changes and stuff. So I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just not coming out. I don't know, if I'm saying too much, please don't hesitate to stop me and say, "Whoa, it's too much," you know?
Sometimes when I meet people for the first time, they just start to talk. It's always happening. Too, and I love listening. So continue as much as you want.
Oh, okay, good. It's just coming out, and I think it's my guides doing it too. So, yeah, it could be that, you know, I'm connecting myself with you and other viewers right now, as this is going to be attached to my channel, And so I feel as though there are many of us on this planet who are working towards, if not what we are, something similar or maybe something, different. And whether it's to give them strength or ourselves or everybody as a whole, or just, maybe allow them to have an open mind and to, just continue to go towards their dreams and creating their dreams into a reality, then that's a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. And we can do that better by working together and collaborating like we are now.
Exactly.
Get our common message across.
Yes. Woo. Yeah, so, you mentioned that you're clairaudient. Would you say that there are other things that help you to, connect with your clients or even just people as a whole, like other ways? Or are you more, would you say you have more of the clairaudient?
Well, clairaudience, I also rely on empathy. I am a very, very strong empath. And that's actually, it's more predominant than clairaudience. So when I'm with a client, I tend to rely more on clairaudience to help me get a message out to them that will help them and will connect with them best. But the empathy also plays in because understanding people is really a part of how I connect with them. And like what you were doing just now, when I meet people for the first time, this tends to happen where they'll start talking to me, and it'll feel like it comes out of nowhere, and that gives me gateways to feel out their energy and their perspective. And when I understand their perspective that way, I'm able to better hear things from as I tap into their energy as an empath. So the clairaudience and the empathy tend to tie together in such a way that it helps me interact with them better.
Which is a very, very, I think, important thing for, whether a person is a reader, a healer, a teacher, or empath, or whatever it is that, they go by. Being able to feel is, I find that it's a gift. Maybe some people, if they don't have the support, they may not see it as a gift. I know for myself, there were areas in my time where I was like, oh my God, get it away from me, I don't want it anymore, But it truly is a gift, because to be able to, it's like a lot of times people say things, but they don't, there's something deeper within them that's like crying to come out, and it's not coming out, and they're saying a bunch of words that's distracting what's in here, and like they're just crying to come out. And I find, like, as an empath as yourself, it's like, within 2 seconds you can totally get it out for them. Yeah.
We're not distracted by the ego, and we can see through the protective mechanisms of the personality.
Yeah.
That's just how we're conditioned, and that's just how we live in our society. It's we're unable to be our full selves for fear of rejection. And as an empath, we see through the cloud of societal expectations and that conditioning, and we just see the person. And that's highly useful in connecting to that person, understanding them, and then being able to help them see that themselves. Because I feel like some people are so involved in that societal expectation, or are trained in that such way to ignore themselves or to oppress themselves, and they themselves don't even realize what they're feeling.
Yeah.
I've had a lot. And so it's just important just to get people to be really raw and authentic and true to themselves. That's also really important.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Is there something specific that you would suggest to someone who is like just a starter? For example, somebody that would come to you and has never experienced, comes from that school board of teachers, for example, and is seeking some sort of guidance to you, whether they're younger or anything, and they just want somebody to understand them. What would you kind of give to them that would help them really? What would you suggest?
Well, they can't came to me asking, well, how do I understand myself better, I would tell them to ask themselves why. And that's something I suggest to a lot of people, and it's an answer to a lot of questions when we're not sure what we're feeling. Ask yourself why. And an example I give a lot is, say I'm outside, and I feel angry, I feel frustrated, and I'm not sure why, I don't know where it's coming from. I ask myself, well, why? And I sit and think about it, and I think, well, sun's in my eyes. And I just say, okay, why? And I know that sounds like a stupid question, but roll with me here.
And most of I did the same thing.
So why is the sun in my eyes? Well, I forgot my sunglasses at home. Why? Because I wasn't mindful. Okay, so why am I frustrated again? Because I'm not being mindful of my needs, and I forgot to bring my sunglasses, and now the sun's in my eyes, and I'm frustrated with myself. So you've taken that I'm frustrated just in general, I'm frustrated with my surroundings, down to I'm frustrated because I am not listening to my needs, and maybe that's something I need to work on. And so for anyone who's wondering, why am I feeling this way, or what exactly am I feeling, just asking a simple question of why oftentimes solves that. It's always a lot easier than we think it is. It's just a matter of not complicating it. Yeah, not complicating. Definitely. Do you tell your clients something similar to that?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, it's amazing that you said the why thing, because I always ask, ever since I can remember, it was always why. But why? But why? You know? And everybody would tell me, well, because it is. And I'd be like, but why can't I know? Why can't somebody give me a specific answer? Oh, but you shouldn't know. You have to believe. Okay, I'll believe, but I have to understand or know why. It's like I knew everything was internal, but again, like you said, we're conditioned to, the whole structure of society and this external circumstances and all that. And as an empath, there's this interconnectivity within yourself and other people, but we're conditioned to believe otherwise and everything. Even if we are, all children were born as, we all have, abilities, psychic abilities, but, by the foods we eat, the families, the cultures, everything kind of changes that. And I don't even necessarily believe that our psychic abilities ever go away. They can kind of get it's kind of like maybe distracting yourself into believing something's not there when it is, or vice versa. I don't know how to really explain it.
Yeah, I see it more as it'll get weaker with time. Like I went through a period where I didn't want to hear anything. Like the majority of my life, I've been very afraid of what I heard. And over time, the longer I ignored it, the longer I said I don't want it, I shoved it away from myself, the weaker it got. And I did get to a point where I heard nothing. And so I feel like it's always there, and it's always recoverable, but it's like a muscle. It'll get weak. It's almost like a skill. It'll get weak if you don't use it, and if you don't want it, it will make itself hidden. And a lot of us, because a lot of people don't believe that these things exist.
Yeah.
Believe it exists, well, it won't exist for you, but the moment that you decide to invest your energy into it, it'll center reappear. I
kind of see it as, for example, it's kind of like, excuse my English, but when every day you eat, you have to go to the washroom. If you don't, there's going to be toxins that build up in your body. And so if you don't go to the washroom and you're eating still, your body is just meshed up with all this toxic and healthy food, and then your body, it's not going to function as it's supposed to. And I feel that this kind of relates to that, where these spiritual abilities or psychic abilities or whatever it is that you want to call them, and so it weakens in that sense. Like our immune system will start to weaken, our mental, how we think and how we learn, and because I've put myself to the test many times where I'll eat a certain type of food and I'll find that I can't wake up as early as I usually do, and then when I read, I'm like, it's not registering, And although that's not connected to the not going to the washroom part and all that stuff, which I'm sorry to the people who are watching and they're probably like, what? But, you know, like, do you get what I mean? Like, it's kind of clogging it, or like clogging a sink, or like you know, it's still there, but it's just being pushed or like squeezed and mashed up and.
I kind of like it makes it harder to function in all kinds of ways, and even spiritually or psychically, it does get harder to function.
Yeah.
I was reading an article about that, and that's like about like it's making the pineal gland foggy. The pineal gland's related to all of these extrasensory abilities, and then in eating like less than optimal foods can oftentimes make it harder for our pineal gland to work. So yeah, definitely I understand what you're saying. Like a lot of like even outside factors that we that sometimes necessarily can't control can also muddy things up and make things a little harder.
Yeah.
To pick up on. Definitely.
So to kind of answer, I know it took me like forever because we got to a different area, but for most of my clients that in general, I always suggest journaling. Always, always, always. And I find that for first, you know, people that are first starting out in their spirituality to connect with themselves and everything that's going on in their life, you know, when they come back, or they'll give me feedback, or they'll tell me, oh my gosh, like I just feel that having it out allows that space to be freer. Whether it's just something, you know, an emotion or something that a person's going through, or whether it's having, you know, your wants, your dreams, your needs, or whatever it is written down allows you to see them, you know. And I find that not just for the clients, but even for myself, I find that when I write something down and then just go living my life completely forgetting about it, whether it's a few weeks, a few months, or a few years, like I'll go through it and then I'm like, oh my gosh, it happened. I actually did that, you know? So that's great encouragement for people to be able to pat themselves on the shoulder and be like, oh my gosh, you know, this is real, this works, you know? Because I find to direct or to know where to put or where to take your psychic gifts is probably more important rather than to know that you have them, if that makes sense. Because it can be frightening for someone to know that they're clairaudient, like you said, or clairvoyant, when they don't know what to do with it.
My relationship with my abilities specifically is a little complicated. Like, I've always heard and I've always felt. But then for some people, it comes out suddenly. Like, some people get this midlife, and they don't know what to make of it either. And I think in some ways that might be even more terrifying because you know what normal feels like, or normal in that sense. And then there's this onslaught of extra information, and you have no idea what happened to you. And then in some cases, like what you thought when you were younger, sometimes you think something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to deal with. It's for a lot of people, it's a struggle. And I really feel for those people.
Well, you know what's funny is that a lot of times I find that when people are quick to judge at a certain thing that they're not aware of, or they'll label you, they have those things within themselves that they're questioning, but they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
you know?
We all project what our insides are like onto our outside worlds. That's what I believe. The world around us, our reality, is a reflection of our inner worlds. And like what you were saying with journaling, I think it's so important for people to be honest with themselves before they can make any positive changes in their lives, spirituality or not. And so journaling will help establish that authenticity. And once that authenticity is established, you can begin to look at your world and see things a little more clearly, in a sense that you can understand what you're doing when you're interacting with somebody, and it comes from a place of cattiness. You can better see that as cattiness and not necessarily something you should be doing because that's the right thing to do. Because a lot of people feel like a little self-righteous in some of their certain reactions or interactions with other people, when in fact it's coming from a place where they need to be healing themselves or being more honest about how they are feeling and projecting that onto other conversations and with other people. So yeah, I if everybody saw themselves in that way, I feel like we would all be in a place where we're all honest and more truthful. We'd be all happier. Definitely.
Yeah. And if I would say, like a successful story for me to be judged at a certain thing was, last year I was asked to be part of a nonprofit organization here in the area, and we were connecting to women and children who have gone through domestic abuse or things of such of that nature. And they had there was a room that they had where you sit down and they're interactive with the kids and all that stuff, and they had a deck of oracle cards, and I was excited because I had never seen, most nonprofit organizations, they don't have that, so I was totally excited. And I knew the manager there, and she was thrilled to have me there. She's like, "You're so open-minded," and she's like, "We love adapting," and so at that time, I was selling, on my website, I had, selling oils, incense, crystals, a lot of spiritual different things, crystal bowls, different stuff like that. And so she asked me to bring crystals with me. And so, we would bring the crystals and just to give them to the kids to make them feel better. Because a lot of times, people that are going through things, they don't want to talk about it. If you just sit down and just talk about it, it's like resurfacing, right? So I remember I was just being myself, and there was one of the caseworkers there. She's like really tall, 6'4", really big girl, and she's like, "You're crazy." She's like, "Don't be coming up in here talking about how trees heal people and using oracle cards and crystals." She's like, "You're crazy." And the manager's looking at her like, "What? That's not how you talk, like, what are you doing?" And anyways, I had patience, and I said, "I'm going to be patient." Because I'm being invited there to bring my business into their corporate, it wasn't about, it was kind of like a contract, like partnership type of thing, where you have these traits and that has that trait. This is what they do. This is what they do. How do you work together to help the children? Because obviously the manager saw something that I had, that she found that I can help those younger generations, because the caseworkers weren't able to understand, because I've been through what that that child was going through. And it was just naturally, like you said, it's an empathy thing where you don't even have to listen to their problem. It's just it's a feeling that you get. And as someone who's experienced it, it's like I already knew the solution, And it could be that lady found me as a threat, that taller person, and she's like, "Oh, you crazy, So she made fun of me for quite a little bit of time. But to make this as that successful story, as I said, is she called me up and she said, "I like to purchase chakra stones from you." And I was like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, and she's like, "I'm sorry I judged you." She's like, growing up, my mom, she was so into stones and so into the cycles of the moon. I thought she was crazy. And she's like, "I didn't understand it." But she goes, watching you and how you deal with these kids and how you take care of yourself, because she saw me go through, and I guess to be able for them to see how you deal with them, because a lot of times I find that people who are quick like that, they want to see how you're going to react. Do you practice what you preach? Which I don't really preach anything, but are you who you really say you are, type of thing, and I mean, I was selling them. There was it was a 7 chakra stone, and then 7 different chakra colors, different stones with a pouch. And I mean, I was selling them for like $12, and she left me $50, and I'm like, "This is too much," and she's like, No, keep it. And it made me feel as though it made me understand that it's not that they're judging us about who we are or our abilities. It's more of they're so conditioned to believe what reality is that they're not able to, they want to teach the younger generations how they were and how they succeeded. But everything's changed since their time, you know? And I'm sure when I'm 40 or 50, I'm going to be like, whoo, I can't adapt to these kids, you know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah, people tend to be really resistant to change. We get very set in our ways, and especially when it comes to spirituality, people are very staunch, and they are sometimes unable to see things through different perspectives because they're like, well, if this is the truth, then this is the only truth, when it's in fact just their truth. Because I feel like especially where spirituality is concerned, there can be different truths depending on different people.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, it's always about taking what resonates with you and making it your own, because we'll never agree on everything. No one will always agree on everything. And it's just about doing what feels right to you at the time. And for that woman that you just brought up, I was kind of hoping it would end when she became more open to the stones. but it's all about accepting it when she was ready to accept it.
Yeah.
Ready to accept it. She was I get tongue-tied, sorry. She was able to become more allowing of that because she probably had emotions all tied up in that since her mother was involved in that more New Agey spiritual cycles of the moon sort of thing.
Yeah, so like, you know, as we're all mirrors, I must have mirrored that relationship she had with her mom, you know, with me and her, and so she's like, you're crazy, you know, and I was like, I, you know, going back and thinking of how I was feeling at the time, all I kept thinking was, I'm here for those kids, you know, and I remember her watching me, and I can feel that pressure of her watching me, but I wasn't allowing any distractions, because I knew, that I knew whatever has helped me, then if it's not going to help those kids 100%, then you know, being able to show something that's helped me when nobody could understand me or nobody can, you know, guide me. Even when I went to go see that numerologist or psychic or tarot reading, I found that it actually, it made me want to know more rather than, it made me question more, because I was so attracted to it, yet I didn't get a concrete answer as to, well, you have psychic abilities yourself, you know, which is only a few words, and I'm sure she saw that, but she didn't tell me, you know, and I didn't have that guidance from her. So I always look back to that, and I think when I first started out using this as a you know, because it first started out as a hobby, me doing this whole spiritual career thing, and then it led to like a part-time and all this stuff, and I remember going back and thinking, I want to provide more, and so that's why I recommend sometimes talking about your experiences, because, you know, some people, they'll say, oh, well, a life coach or a psychic should never talk about themselves, but I personally wouldn't want to go to someone unless I know what their abilities are, and what they've done about it. What have they done to strengthen them? What have they done to protect themselves? And what can they do for me? Right. You know what I mean? I mean, it's otherwise, why don't I just go to a psychologist and sit down and just, you know, or even talk to myself, and it's not going to get to we're not finding a solution. And I find that because I do a lot of research, and like I said, I'm constantly, YouTube is constantly changing on a regular basis, and I'm like, I do research, and a lot of, you know, I'll find on the web, and they'll be like, you know, life coaches and all this stuff, and not that I'm, you know, directing this at older generations or that I'm bashing them, not at all, by all means, but I did find that they were people of mid-age and over that were saying such stuff. So I find that, you know, things are just all the time is changing. And even tuning into a lot of the youth now, they're more open to things. And it's not that they're rebellious, by all means they're not, but it's more of they have more of that inner will, inner power, inner strength of being who they are. It's like they really want to be who they are. And I'm really seeing this now, rather than my time when I was a teenager. I remember I felt like people were always saying, you're a rebel, because it was always me that was like, wait, I want to find out who I am rather than being someone else. And everybody was trying to be someone else. So I was labeled as a rebel and all that, which I wasn't really doing anything anyways, right? So I find that the youth now is just so powerful, and I find that a lot of them are really seeking, whether they're called spiritual advisors or psychic healers or whatever you want to call them, they're really seeking people to connect with.
Yeah, like a lot of younger people today, they're cracking the mold. They're not afraid to break status quo. They're not afraid to challenge conservative ideas, and that they're reaching out to people in the spiritual community that's not necessarily traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, newer ideas are starting to branch off into our common culture because of that, and I think that's brilliant. That's going to help a lot of people who need that sort of interaction, who weren't getting it before because of a lot of stigma around it. The stigma's clearing, so that's wonderful.
And it's exciting. I find it very exciting. I don't know, I get really excited with change. Although I get restless and nervous sometimes, but I get really excited, and I'm always, saying, okay, let's do this. Yes. Because I always get excited, but yeah, I think it's important to have support by people who are the same and who have that same goal, and yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Most definitely. It's easier to work together in order to get a message out there than to work separately on polar opposite sides of the spectrum.
Right.
Yeah, something to get across. Most definitely. So working together to a common goal is definitely extremely important.
Yeah. So, have you ever worked with numerology before?
I have not. No. I know very little about numerology.
Yeah? Okay. So, I found when I was maybe 14 years old, that stage of my life, I was questioning everything. I mean, all my life I've been questioning, but really at that age, I was questioning everything. And I remember saying to myself, I need a sign, I'm talking to, the air, I'm talking to God, I'm talking to everything. I need to connect, I need a sign, because I know what's in front of me is not all that there is. There's so much more, And I kept seeing number signs everywhere. I'd be like, I need a sign, and then number 7 would pop up. Whether it was on a billboard or on the channel or TV channel or TV or time or bus numbers or stickers, things that would stick to my shirt or whatever, or anywhere, I would see numbers, and then I'd be like, well, I wonder what that means, because we didn't have a Google search back then. I think we had GeoCities. I think that was Google. But it was your own personal website, and there was background photos of flames and little liquid lava stuff. It was completely different. And I felt as though there was so much more, and I wanted to write it all out. And it's everything I was going through and experiencing, I knew it's all happened, because I experienced deja vu from 2 years old. And as I got older, I was predominant, very dominant at the age 10, 11, 12, younger. deja vu constantly, like I'd be like, this has happened before. Or, you know, and I would watch and I knew what was about to happen. Or like I knew this car would come here or something of that nature, you know, and I'd talk to some, like my mom or whatever, and be like, oh, how did I know, you know? And she'd be like, oh, ignoring it, you know? And so, but then again, afterwards I found out my grandmother, she also had these strong abilities, and my dad's side, my grandmother, my mom's mother, and my dad's side, you know, most of them are also the same. So, going back to the numbers, it wasn't until actually I was 18 years old and I got into a relationship, and my boyfriend's mother was into numerology. And I remember him, my boyfriend, and his friends would come over and they would always be making fun of her, be like, oh, not again, because she was always like, oh, you're a 5, you're a 6, you're a 7 personality. And I was like, what is that? I was all excited. And then they would make fun of us because for hours, Fridays and Saturday nights, instead of me hanging out with him, I'd be like sitting down and talking to her about numerology and all this stuff. At the time, I knew of astrology, which I was totally into learning about. And when I heard numerology, it made me remember the numbers that I was seeing, you know, the frequent numbers. And she said, yeah, there's a book. So she had a book, and she told me that as a personality number, I'm a 5. And 5 is basically the day you're born. I'm born the 14th, but, you know, with the digits, with numbers from 1 to 9, they're 1 to 9, so you calculate them. You add them together. So there's different, you know, your name calculates to numbers. For example, like the letters, it calculates to number, and then you add it together, and it becomes one digit. And then there's also your life path number, which is the month, the date, and the year you're born. You add it all together, and then you get a digit. So personality is basically, you know, your personality. And some of them, I think they're written as karmic, if I'm not mistaken. But 5 is all about change, like media, social media, you know, very modern, communicative, and, you know, that's the energy of the number 5. And, oh my gosh, we would talk about this for hours, and then all of a sudden, after they made fun of us, they got into it. So now they were all like ordering pizza and all this stuff, and they'd be like, oh my god, he's totally a number 5. And we would look at them and just laugh. So it was pretty funny, because they were all like, they came from like construction. They were into building homes and stuff, and then they're coming, you know, with these big boots and these helmet hats on, talking about numerology, and it was the funniest thing ever. It was fun. And so I looked up number 7, and number 7 is the number of spirituality. You know, psychic abilities, you know, godly energies, the world, or the calendar, you know, the 7 days, or the old, you know, the religions of, not the old religion, but, you know, the 7 days of creation and all that, and so much more, like analytical and everything. And it gave me a mirror. I think the number 7 was mirroring what I was questioning, because I was like at 14 years old, which equals 5, which is change, which is me wanting to understand what's going on. And so 7, it was mirroring me the why, because 7's question things. And then I calculated my name, my first name, my middle name. My first name equal to 7. My first name and my middle name equal to 7. And then my first name and my last name equal to 7. And I was like, whoa, no wonder I'm constantly questioning things. Because, again, 5 is very out there, like socialized and everything. So I'm just giving you examples. I don't mean to be a hoarder, like talking about myself and everything, but 7s they like solitude. And my friends and people around me, they would be like, I don't get it. Like, you know, you love being in social situations, and then all of a sudden you'll disappear. And you just want to be alone on Friday nights. Why? And I always felt like, okay, it's time to read a book. It's time to listen to music. I just want to be alone. Leave me alone. So it allowed me to understand myself more, you know. And now, I mean, you can just do a Google search and you can find, you know, number 7 personality or name number 7 or life path number, you know. After, you know, you can figure out ways how to calculate it. You know, there's websites and whatnot, and or you could just, you know, write it all down and calculate it. But the symbology is everywhere. Like, there's writers, there's authors now that, you know, give you concrete answers. And I mean, nobody will give you 100% your answer, because their answer is just, you know, as a whole. But it allows us to embrace more of learning about ourselves, our gifts. And I find this, right now, I feel like, this is just intuitively me speaking, I feel as though we are at a pivotal time in history right now, in the world, or in North America. And this, you know, if whether I incarnate ever again on Earth, or if it's me looking up at the sky, wherever I am or wherever I go, you know, to be able to be here right now is probably one of the biggest blessings, because the planet's rapidly changing, even though there's some parts of the world that's like really old school. But I can feel that this is the time right now where things are so rapidly changing that the Earth is in deep, deep need of this solid foundation of change. There has to be something to support the new that's coming, you know, the new that's trying to establish itself right now on this planet, or in North America, or whatever it is. And whether it's people that are new to spirituality, or you know, people, they don't even have to be aware. Like, they don't have to be. It fits everybody, you know, because there's frequency involved in it. It's a hidden, silent message behind numbers and signs in general. I mean, if we look at a bulletin board, or like, sometimes I'll go to home decor shops, and I'll see words, you know, those, you put them on the walls, there's about phrases or words, and I'm like, I was just thinking that, or I'm like, oh my gosh, my guy totally told me that this morning, and then seeing it in front of my face, you know, it wakes me up, that, okay, so it's like, we need to hear this, we need other people to tell us this sometimes, because, you know, do you get what I mean? Like, it's like, if that's why I think I talk about my experiences. Maybe some people don't like that I talk about my experiences, but I feel as though talking about my experiences helps other people be like, oh my god, this stuff does exist. I'm not going crazy, because I've been seeing them too. You know, but I've been ignoring it or whatever.
Yeah, because people are so resistant to what we're not told happens in the world, and sometimes this stuff happens, and people just sort of toss it off as nothing, or they ignore it, or they become afraid of it. And it's really great that you're so open about your experiences and this sort of thing, because that does help people make a connection, and then they're more willing to do their own research and find their own answers through listening to your experiences and saying, hey, this isn't just me being weird, it's real.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful. I really love that about you, and I admire
it. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Like, going back to the whole, okay, I think I should bite my tongue down, not say anything. Like, I think the empathy thing helps me, because, you know, I'm not going to go straight into the bank when I got to deposit money and start talking about this stuff, because it's not appropriate, right?
That would be funny, though.
Unless the teller starts talking to me about it, then I'm going to sure, you know, okay, why not? But, you know what I mean?
That's why I think YouTube is really great, because we can say whatever we want, and then the people who are meant to hear that and who that will resonate with can hear it. It's a wonderful platform. That's why I love YouTube so much.
Yeah, so yay to the creators of YouTube. And yay to the future creators of more media, social media networks and networks. I don't want to say a bunch of different words because it's just going to be me, mumbling. I think I'm excited. I'm feeling a lot of like, what is it, the Eight of Wands energy around me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I keep seeing a spiral when I look at you, and it reminds me of the spring, and behind the spiral there's a lot of yellow, which makes me think of excitement. So I could tell this whole time you're very excited.
Like the two butterflies I was telling you, they were literally spiraling up and then spinning together. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. I tried to get my cell phone out and capture it, but I was just so mesmerized I couldn't move. I just wanted to stare at it the whole time. I had never seen that. I've seen two dragonflies near a pond do it, actually a week before, which was another confirmation for me. Because as a shaman, I connect to, spirit totems and spirit messages when I see an animal, or, I connect with its spirit and what its message is trying to send to me. And sometimes I don't need to look it up, but sometimes, like we said before, we're humans. We will still continue to question ourselves in this world. And then it'll give us a direct confirmation just to read about it, that, okay, that is what I'm sensing, that is what I'm feeling, that is what I'm welcoming in. And then to see the butterfly after, the yellow butterflies, is like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I love it when we get messages like that. Something weird happened to me, I think it was just last week. I was walking my dog. I told this story on my YouTube, I think, and on my Facebook, so sorry, I don't know if you heard about it or not. But I was walking my dog. I walk my dog every single morning, first thing. And I've been in a place where I'm very anxious and worried the last month or so. And I like to take walking meditations, and I use that time where I'm walking my dog as that sort of time to sort of reflect and think about my day, what I'm going through, things like that. And as I was walking my dog, like a row of different birds just like dropped down in front of us. It was a cardinal, one was a dove, and one was a mockingbird. And I was just like, that's not normal. They just kind of just all sat there. And I stared at them for a minute, and then it's like, okay. And I was thinking about what that meant when we were walking forward. And as we walked forward a few more feet, a little tiny sparrow just flew from under the underbrush right in front of us again. And I stood there again like, what in the world does this mean? So it was strange. And the next day, I looked up like the totem animal meanings of these different birds, because I kept feeling like that was a message. I meant to get something from that, and it all came together into a message that was just really perfect for me at that point in time. What each of those birds symbolized, and it was a huge comfort to me. And I love it when things happen out in nature that are so important and personalized to us. I think that's wonderful.
It is. I always. A lot of times we can't control outer circumstances, we can't control things that are going to happen to us, or, and so I find when anytime I just go out for a walk, or I just go out in nature and just observing things and like connecting, I just feel it leave instantly, like that any energy or anything that's kind of pulling me down, and because I don't know, I find the world to be a very beautiful place. Like, I always think, oh my God, it's a miracle how the moon is just staying there, and then the stars come out, and then and the plants, and the way that the trees are constantly cleaning our air, and I'll just observe the whole thing, and then it totally wipes out any negativity or any worry or anything at all out of my mind or my energy field. And I find that it clears my aura just to get out. And even just touching a branch or a plant leaf, it totally, it just clears.
Yeah, definitely. I'm the same way. Every single day for at least 2 minutes, I gotta go outside and earth. Do you do earthing? Yeah? You just go outside and I have to walk barefoot outside every single day.
Oh, yeah, just to feel that grounded energy under the soles of our feet is so powerful.
Yes, definitely, and we don't get enough of that interaction with the natural world. I feel like we just contain ourselves, and we're constantly like away from the energy of the natural world. And I think that can be like so healing and so calming for us. We would have a lot less stress if we just spent a little bit of time just admiring the natural beauty of the world. Because it's there for us to admire, partly. And I think we should take more solace in it. It's definitely very cleansing.
Yeah. So, where you are you near like water or?
Yes, I live in a beach town right by the coast.
Wow. So do you ever go like rocks or shell collecting or anything, or like ever go and connect?
Yeah, when I do go to the beach, I like to stand like right on the edge of the ocean where the tide meets the shore. I think that's a point of transition. It's funny you were talking about transition earlier. I think points of transition are really sacred to me, just personally. Like when the day turns to night.
Yeah.
Or when the water meets the earth. I think those are like really important, energizing. Just to me, it's just almost holy. And I like to go to the ocean and stand right there and just sort of breathe the air.
Yeah, as if like you're going through a cleansing, right? Like,
yeah, it's a kind of very...
That's how I feel too. I think that's why I'm so attracted to and feel at home with spring and autumn. You know, because it's that time of transition and you know, the whole the death, rebirth energies, and it's like a time for me to recreate myself, if that makes sense. And because we're all connected, right? We're all connected, and I find that I don't know why I said like connecting like the rocks with you, but I can imagine how beautiful the scene is there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty nice location. I like where I live. It's great. I have a rock. It's not from the ocean, but in my room I have a big rock that I took from a lake that's a little farther inland where I live. But I like rocks.
Yeah.
I'm happy to pick up on my big huge rock I keep on my dresser and
Oh, that's nice. I know I have a lot too, and it's like anytime where I live there's a forest behind, but we don't have like a beach or anything. I think it's like about 45 minutes more north of where I am. But when I do go, I'll dig. I don't care. Like I'll put my hands and my feet right into the sand, and like I want to, you know, be rooted in. I have this weird thing where even in the woods, I just want to lay on the floor. I don't care what creepy crawly thing is going in my hair. Like, I just want to, you know, and I just feel like one with the soil, one with the earth. Because I don't know, our bodies are from the earth, and it's just, I just feel like this rejuvenation instantly. And so, you know, even connecting with water, because water is cleansing, and it's, you know, very connected to the moon and our cycles and all that. Just the whole thing is so beautiful and miraculous that it's like in 2 seconds. I always said if I lived near water, I probably wouldn't even have stress, because I'd be so embracing the beauty and like the energies of the water, of constantly clearing, that I probably wouldn't need. I'd push the worries away. I'd be like, yeah, goodbye.
Yeah, there is something about water. Like whenever I go to the beach and I go swimming in the ocean, I used to describe it as I feel like I'm playing with God, is what I used to say to people, just because I feel very, very connected to everything when I'm with water. It's hard to describe. It's a little surreal almost.
Did you ever have a connection to mermaids?
Thanks. No, I mean, I grew up thinking mermaids are cool. But I've never had like a spiritual connection to mermaids.
Yeah. I remember when I was young, I used to pretend like there was a kingdom in the water. And there were like mermaids and mermen, and you know, and I'd pretend, and you know, that there's a castle down there, and like you said, the whole God thing, you know, and that connection. And I met a lady year. Last year around this time. And she worked at the immigration center. So for people that immigrate to Canada. And she immigrated here from I believe Thailand. And so I remember we were talking about all this because the lady she was living with, she came from a temple, because those countries, they're still they're connected to temples and all that. And I told her, I'm like, I remember when I was little, people thought, I remember I had this imagination with believing there was a kingdom, and she's like, there is a kingdom. She's like, there's these, these beings down there, and she's in her 50s. I thought it was the most beautiful thing ever. She's like, they're called Naga. And I was like, Naga, what's that, right? And she's like, it's a kingdom. And she's like, they're serpentine, dragon type of snake-looking fish. And it's Naga, N-A-G-A. Now, I can't remember if this was a Thai cultural thing or if it was one of the other cultures that she was associating it with, but she knew of it. She was telling me about it, and she was saying how, look it up. And I found a YouTube video. They had zoomed it in, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. It's not actually a human, half, a tail or a fish tail and a human body or upper. But she says, it's part of our old culture, we've preserved it, that there is a kingdom in the ocean, but they're not humans, they're creatures and all that stuff. So we had a good laugh. It was cute. Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so, yeah. So, how can, because I like to be, I like to collaborate with, as you know, we've spoken about, sharing our talents and gifts to the world and connecting and all that stuff. I'm totally open for, if one of my clients, ever found that they're, attracted to your reading style and all that stuff, how can they contact you?
Well, you can always go to my website, www.blissfulintuitions.com, or email me, blissfulintuitions@gmail.com, and that's blissful with a Y. You tend to get that confused, and then they wonder, where are you? I can't find you. Not an I. But you can always get in contact with me there, and people can just email me if they just want to chat. I'll talk to people. I won't charge you. People tend to think I'll charge them for a conversation. I won't.
Yeah.
So if anyone ever wants to chat, email me. And same for you. How can people contact you?
So, like you said, they can go to my personal website, which is www.redearthgoddess.com, or they can, just go on my YouTube channel and send me an email at info@redearthgoddess.com.
Alright, that's wonderful. I love that website title, that name, by the way, Red Earth Goddess. I thought that was beautiful.
In 2012, actually it was the end of 2011, but when I actually brought it into Facebook and to respect my spiritual guides and take the responsibility for going out with it, I was initiated into a shamanic rite, and the way it works is it was in a group of 7 to 12 people, and for most people that have no idea why I have the name Red Earth Goddess, where it came from and all that, this is for them. And so it was there was drumming going on. It was very nice. I was right in the middle. There were people surrounding me and in a circle. And so this was, the moment where my spirit name was being given to me. And I thought I was going to be given something like Mystical 77, because I knew, because everybody was telling me, ooh, you've got this mystical aura, and all this stuff. And I was given Red Earth Goddess. And I was like, oh, okay, really? It came not as a shock, but it came as overwhelming in a good way. And I didn't question it. I thought, if this is being given to me by, you know, the guides, then I should respect that, and I wanted to honor it. And so, as part of a duty, you know, I was told I should be sharing my experiences in the shamanic rites and my ancestral lineage, like what I inherited, life experiences, challenges, obstacles, everything on my Facebook. I had a Facebook page at the time, so I had a Facebook account, and then it wasn't until mid-January 2012, where I started the page for Red with Goddess, and I just went in there as an honorable thing that, you know, I wanted to honor what was given to me, and because, you know, there was that thing going on. Do you remember December 2012, the Mayan?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember, like, overnight, I think I had maybe 1,500 followers, and I was like, whoa, what am I doing that's so special? You know what I mean? I was pretty shocked, because I was like, oh my God, they're going to laugh at me. People are going to think, you know, because I was sharing my experiences, like, for the first time of, like, shamanic stuff, and I think it led up to maybe almost 4,000 followers at the time, and a lot of these followers were they became, like, they started their own spiritual shops, online businesses. They became tarot readers or oracle readers or psychic readers, and so then I started doing, so then I got another mission, and I was told, you know, you should be doing your readings. You should do readings. And I'm like, I don't think I should be charging people for this, you know? And then I started doing this thing where the first top 5 people that comment under love, which I would write love, gets a free psychic reading, you know? And then people would be like, oh, writing love, 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 love. And then I'd give readings to people. It was just a quick, you know, maybe it would take me like up to 20 minutes to half an hour to write it all out. And I found that I started developing, a lot of the readers started to trust me, and so they came for readings to me after that. And they're like, you need to charge, you need to do this. And I remember a psychic contacted me, and I ended up giving her one of those quick messages, and she's like, wow, it was so on target. And then she's like, is it okay if I read you too, because I have a message to give you? I'm like, sure. And she's like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. She goes, it's part of your soul purpose. And I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet to, you know, for her to say that to me. And it was a good thing. It was a really, really good thing. And so ever since then, I've just chosen to honor that name and respect it. And it's kind of like my higher self. You know, that name it's my higher self, I feel. And there were points in time where I wanted to just, like, pull that higher self down here, and I'm like, all I want to do is be my higher self. I don't want to be this, you know? I don't want to be this and all that. And so, but you know what I mean. I'm just, yeah.
That's an awesome story. I like
that. I kind of, again, I talk a lot when it comes to stories and stuff, so please, you can stop me anytime. I won't get offended if I keep going on.
Well, no, it's okay. I love listening.
So how did Blyssful Intuitions come about for you? And what got you into it? Like, what got you into establishing it or thinking, okay, I should be doing this, you know, as a reader, and if it's okay for me to ask?
Oh, no, it's fine. When things happen to me that are huge, they tend to happen very, very quickly, and that's been how it's always been for me in my life. And Blyssful Intuitions was the very same way. I did my, surprisingly enough, it's a little embarrassing to admit, I did my very first in-person reading the day after I graduated college, and I just graduated college in May. So,
wow, congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
Woo!
So I'm very new to giving readings and working with people. But I've been practicing reading with cards. I used playing cards at first. I noticed that you did a video showing people how to do like a pyramid spread with playing cards a few days ago. But that's how I began reading as well. I began practicing with playing cards, and then probably a year ago, a friend gave me like a legit deck of playing cards, not playing cards, tarot cards, my very first deck, and I was just like, oh wow, I feel like really connected to this deck of cards. And it was like a strange like pull, like I was tethered to those cards. And I was like, this is more than like just something for me just to do for fun. And there was like a weight to it. And then what happened was the day after my graduation, there's this little communal playground kind of area in my neighborhood, and I was just sitting around, playing with these cards. Just not really playing with them, just studying them. Because when I read tarot, it's a more intuitive approach than I think a lot of people take to it. I don't necessarily always use the traditional or textbook definition of a card.
Yeah.
Like when I look at any card at any such and such a time, it could mean a totally different thing than if I look at it tomorrow. It always just depends on the energy. And so I was studying the cards and feeling what they meant to me at that point in time. And somebody who lives in the apartments in front of my neighborhood came over and said, hey, do you wanna read for me? And I was just like, oh, okay, sure. And I did, and I was just like, when I did it, I was just like, I need to do more. I need to do more. I feel like I need to do more of this. And after I did that, very shortly after that, I started a YouTube channel. It was Intuit Tarot at the time, but I started doing that, and I felt like I was like on fire. I was just like, I'm meant to do more of this. I need to do more. I want to help more people. Because I've always felt I need to reach out and connect with people. I need to help people. I've always felt I need to be doing that in some way, and I struggled to find how exactly I should be doing that. And it wasn't until I started connecting with people through tarot that I realized it's this. This is how I'm meant to connect with people. I need to do more. And so it's just very impromptu, very quick. Like most big things happen in my life, I started up and running Blyssful Intuitions and coordinating my YouTube channel.
That's awesome. That's a beautiful story. So it's kind of like you got to direct your abilities, basically, with those cards. It's like as if, that pull that you felt, it could have been that, oh my gosh, I'm putting it somewhere, it's going, and it's not just helping her, it's helping me, and it's such a blessing when it's helping everybody,
Yeah, definitely. When I first started getting interested in tarot, and it was therapeutic to me, because I have like a really weird relationship with my abilities. I've spent the majority of the time resenting them, or being afraid of them, or being angry because I have them.
Yeah.
So channeling that into the cards and finding use out of it, and it was very cathartic to me, very, very therapeutic. And I love sharing that with people because tarot cards, they're a really wonderful tool for personal development and personal growth, spiritual growth. They're reflections of the truth, and they help us be more authentic and true to ourselves. And that's my favorite thing about them. I love sharing that with people. And so that's really what keeps me going, even when things get rough with Blyssful Intuitions or with reaching out to people, or if I find a struggle or hiccups, it's like I want to help people. That is what I have to do. I love sharing that with people.
I'm glad that you say that because tarot is very attractive, like the visual aspect and everything, and it really does pull people in, and it's so mysterious because there is the queen, there's the king, and there's different, and it's like in each and every one of those characters, there is a part of us within each of them, and although, like, as you did say, every time you pull out a card or a reading, it can be different from the last time you saw it. It's like as if, although sometimes you can read and see, a certain person coming in or out, and you can say, well, the King of Cups is, a watery sign, or, a person in your life or whatever. But also it's like, each of us are within them, and vice versa, and it's a very attractive thing. And I remember I could never read them, but I was always attracted to them, and I was attracted to people who could read them to me, because ever since I can remember, I always loved stories, and I always loved people telling me stories, it, like you said, it's very therapeutic. And, yeah, it is. It's very therapeutic.
Yeah, definitely. There's just something about just like being able to make a blueprint of your life or a blueprint of a problem and being able to see it with clarity, because, tarot's not going to judge. Tarot doesn't have, all it is clarity. It's truth. It's very honest. And there's just really something about being able to see everything laid out in front of you that's very powerful. And that's just one of my favorite things about it.
So before when you were talking and explaining, I can see this like gold light just beaming out of you. And it gives me such, I'm not questioning it at all, but it gives, because I also have empathy, and I'm clairvoyant as well, and I can see energies, subtle energies around, and that is such a huge thing as to how I feel your authentic self just coming right out and saying, this is me, this is how I, it was like that's what I got instantly, how your authentic self totally came out, and as you are authentic, but it's like that part of you just totally, I saw right there that is totally what you're doing. It's like for you.
Thanks. Yeah, that feels really good to hear. Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah. So you must be, are you like busy right now with other things, or are you doing this more of like do you have certain goals with where you're going? Do you have a certain vision, or are you just going with the flow?
I'm kind of just going with the flow right now. The main goal is just to help people, whoever feels called to want to work with me, then I want to work with them. That's just where my focus is. I would like to expand when the time is right. It's just where I am in my life, it's in such flux that I can't expand it right now. But I would like to see that expand in the future. So that's what I'm hoping for. But the main goal is just to, whoever feels called to want my perspective, then I want to connect with them. That's just where I am right now.
Well, that is a really great thing, to be open to that and see what the universe has in store for you, and where your business can take you, and where it can take everybody and your clients, and so yeah, that's great.
Thanks. What about you? What are you looking forward to in the future?
I think with myself, I've always had, like you said, for yourself, I've always been open-minded. I started this out as just an honorable thing to do. Because whether it was people, whether it was my intuition or my spirit guides and my ancestors telling me, look, you have all this knowledge, share it with the world, it's going to go to people that need it. And not that I was expecting anything in return, because I was just doing this as an honorable thing and like a hobby and all that stuff. Because it was therapeutic for me too, to write it all out. Not that I was expecting anything in return, but I did find that the universe did deliver something in return to me, and that was, you're responsible enough to do this, and, the clients just started coming on their own, and it became successful, and, and although, because I do like to embrace change, I think I give myself a hard time sometimes, because I want to adapt so quickly and to move my business around and take it higher. But like you said too, you know, timing is everything, right? So right now I'm at a stage with my business where, because I was selling the crystals, I was selling, you know, the tools and stuff. I found that I would rather work with or collaborate with others who are gifted and who are, you know, like a partnership where, you know, this is what I do and that's what they do, and that makes it, as a whole, it makes it more of, because I can't do everything on my own, and I wouldn't want to rob that from others, because I find co-creation to be a beautiful thing, and I wouldn't want to just be all me and, you know, forever, and just be Red Earth Goddess, you know, and just, you know, giving readings and crystal work and all that stuff, when there's so many other also talented readers and teachers and all that, who can give great oracle card readings or tarot readings, or you know, other type of, you know, whether they're also, if they're selling crystals, why not, you know, have that open mind to work like that. So yeah, it's happening. And again, like I said, it's the universe giving back to me. But it's all about divine timing. And I don't think anything externally will cause an issue for anybody, because those who are working is towards their goal, like their path, it'll all just happen naturally. Like, it'll just blend in. Because it's like, when you work towards what you do, it just, somehow it'll find its way back to you. It's what is that saying? Build it and it will come.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not even just saying this for myself. I mean this for everybody, even for people who are just starting out, for like food businesses, or like other construction workers. Like, you know, if what I'm saying, or having that open mind of working with other people, because construction workers, they have contracts, they do, you know, there's contractors and all that. If it helps them, you know, to know that, you know, okay, yeah, working with other people. For example, if I'm having an issue with my floors, I'm not going to call, you know, someone who does walls. But hey, when the guy comes for my floor, he may be able to connect me with someone for, you know, that can fix my leak. Right? So, not that we're here to fix people. I don't mean that at all. We're not fixers. But you get what I mean. So it's a good thing. It's nice, and divine timing is huge.
Yeah, definitely. We can always get what we want, but we can't always get it when we want, because we always want the win now, but that might be better for us to get it when the time is right, because we'll be better prepared. So that's why universal timing, I find, is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, to keep the open mind, I find that that's actually a good thing too, because anything can happen, like anything can be built. I find that, you know, when we move forward with our purposes, you know, one person is doing this, another person is doing that, and then all of a sudden people will offer things, or, you know, anything can happen, and then all of a sudden you've built your way up to this, and that person's built their way up to that. It'll just naturally come together. Again, when the time is right and all, but it'll just somehow.
Yeah, it'll always work out somehow.
Yeah.
You just have to trust that it will work out, because it will, even though it doesn't seem like it will. It always will if there's trust that it will.
Yeah. So, it's great. So before we close and wrap this up, because I did share my personality number, may I ask you what day you're born? Number.
Oh, I was the date, whole thing.
You can say, but you know, the day you're born, the number. But you can tell. You mean feel free to.
Oh, I was born on the 1st of August.
Oh, happy belated.
Oh, thanks.
Another Leo. High five to that. If you're not aware, my rising is a Leo, and I've been connecting to so many Leos. The pyramid reading that I did? That it was the lady that taught me, she was a Leo. So, yeah, there's a lot of Leos that are in my life right now, and it's good. So, number 1. You're number 1.
Number 1!
Woo! Yeah, so, that would be, obviously, that wouldn't be adjusted, or add or subscribe. Well, we're going to get a new subscriber, that's for sure, because that just came out of my mouth. Oh my gosh. Excuse my weird humor. But, new beginnings. I think number 1 symbolizes new beginnings. Taking actions, the first to take action, and to start a new beginning, to start a new path, to believe in your path. And to kind of be a way shower for others who are dreaming to do what their vision is, and to go with it. I think 1 is a very powerful number. Although all of them are, but there's certain numbers that are very, direct. And so my life path number is an 8. And so that's the birthday and the number. So for example, May 14, 1987 equals to 8. So you just calculate 5, 14. It's like 5 plus 14 plus 19 plus 87, and then it'll equal up to a digit. And then you put it all together, and then you add it into one digit, and so it becomes 8. And so 8 and 1 has similarities because they're both so driven and determined. But yeah, so.
Oh, thank you for that. That's really interesting.
So look up your life path number and.
I'll have to.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's, when I first heard it, I was like, whoa, overwhelming information, but you'll find that it does, it connects. It helps you with whatever it is that you're going through in life. Numbers help. They're just, they're another form of your guides and the world talking to you, lending out its hand to support you on your path.
Yeah, I really love, finding messages around us, and I really love doing that, so I'm definitely going to have to study up some more on numerology just to find the numbers and messages, because that's really interesting.
Yeah. It is. All right, my darling, I will be having to wrap this up, and my room is getting darker. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the lighting with this thing is crazy. Sometimes I turn it on, it's so bright, and then I don't know if you saw one of my older videos, it was completely daylight out, and I'm just dark, and so I just don't bother anymore. But it was very great to talk to you. I'm so thrilled, and I honor you being here, and again, thank you.
Thank you so much for reaching out to me. It was a pleasure to speak to you today.
You as well. And I am sending you wonderful, wonderful blessings for you to continue on your path. And anytime you feel you need anything, I'm here. You know where to find me. And the viewers, you know where to find Cassidy. Blyssfulintuitions.com. And there you have it.
Alright, thank you so much, and everything you said right back to you. If you want to talk or do this again,
yes.
Reach out. It was awesome.
Yes, okay. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.